guys, welcome to Windsome Cottage Garden. My name is Hannah and I'm so glad that you decided to join me today. We are in the cottage garden and it's time for the end of June garden tour. Now, I have been talking about this tour forever because June is one of my favorite months and it's always one of my favorite tours. And I have to admit that it's not quite as plentiful as I was hoping it would be. We've had a lot of rain in the last week that has taken some of the blooms with it, but I was here a couple weeks ago, and in case things still weren't looking great, I actually grabbed some footage of some things that were looking beautiful. So I'll insert that in a moment. But before I do, I wanted to say welcome. If you're new to my channel, thank you for joining me. We are in West Michigan, and this is a zone 6A. We're fairly close to Lake Michigan, which is a pretty large body of water if you're not familiar with the Midwest geography. My mom, dad, and I were just talking of whether they'd consider this northern Michigan. We're on like the edge of northern Michigan, which means that we have a fairly short growing season, but when things are growing, they're looking really, really great. On this channel, we document 2 gardens, and I did do an early June garden tour here, so I'll link that as well as our home garden tour this month as well, if you wanted to see either of those 2 spaces. So why don't we jump into our old stuff, and then I will come back and show you a couple things that have changed since then. Hi guys, Pat standing here. Sorry for the bad audio because it is quite windy and we're dodging rainstorms, but I wanted to take a moment to record a couple things that are just looking so good right now, and I don't know if they're going to last for our late June garden tour. Now, we did a big garden tour even 2 weeks ago, and since then things have just burst into color and it looks great. And I want to show you in particular the area I am in right now. See, we've got some beautiful allium that are, out fully in bloom. They are absolutely covered with bees. You can see these pretty yellow flowers at the back. This is our evening primrose that just covers the area. It's one of our favorites. You can also see some weeds. We're going to gloss over that. But over here, you guys, look at how well things are doing. And our wisteria is in bloom. I think the color of we have some honeysuckle in bloom. The wisteria is just started. I can't wait until it covers us more. And it just looks so good all together. This is the poet's wife. It's looking a little bedraggled from the rain today, but it is such a beautiful clear yellow flower. And oh my gosh, look at this combo right here with the red and the variegated color. Oh, and it smells so good. Oh, it's absolutely covered. It's a little wind blown, like I said, and the wind is coming out of the east. Here's a bloom that's been open a little bit longer, so it's a little softer. So good. Our roll doll has some buds. I think we'll have flowers in the June garden tour. Our mock orange is in flower, as are our pincushion flowers. Before I go look at those closer, let's take a moment to appreciate our wisteria. It didn't bloom the last couple years. We were beginning to despair. It's not only blooming, it's got like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 blooms, and it's beginning to climb our wire over here. Oh, and you can see the poet's wife. It's just so heavily laden right now, but a beautiful combo. Ignore the houtunia, guys. I don't even want to start about it. But I do want to go take a closer look at these 2 roses. Before I do, let's check in with the Princess Alexandra of Kent rose we have back here and show you a new iris in bloom. This is the Princess Alexandra of Kent. It'd be better if I was showing you from the front, but look at this. How big and beautiful it is. It's like a warmer pink than some of our other pinks. And also, this is one of the iris that was just budded up last time. I'm going to have a hard time getting in there to show you. Look how pretty that is. It's right here on the point and it's kind of dipped down over that way. Let me go show you the other roses that are in bloom. Looking great. I carefully walked up the steps. Oh, this one right here is our Gertrude Jekyll, which is on the climbing frames. They are a little windswept. I've been meaning to film this for the last couple days. Haven't gotten around to it. I kind of regret it because they've lost petals. But man, Jekyll is just my favorite rose. This is one that's a little bit aged. Here's one that's newer. It's got a little bug on it. Isn't it beautiful? And they just smell so good. So good. This one did really well. As you can see, The rain took out most of them. Here's a new bud, but I think you get that beautiful rosette shape right where they're opening. There was one right here all the way up till yesterday that is perfect smelling height as you are walking out through the arbor. I'm bummed it's gone now because I've been smelling them, but there's a couple over here that are good smelling height, though they are a little bruised by the rain we got today. Oh, so pretty. So that's not the only one. Here's a closer look at the huge field of evening primrose. And as we go over here, this rose, I can't remember its name. I always forget it. I can look it up. But look how ruffly pink it is. It's a lot more ruffled than our other flowers. And it's a hotter pink. It's very pretty, smells great. It's doing pretty well and is a nice juxtaposition to the mock orange. And you can kind of see the beautifulness up here as well. Speaking of beauty that we're probably going to miss in the next couple weeks, let's take a minute to look at this clematis. When we checked in on it earlier, it only had one bloom, and now it has a ton of blooms. The clematis we saved hasn't really climbed yet, but it's alive. It lives. It will flower another day. And then this guy up here is beginning to fade. And we should quick get a picture of it before it completely lulls. But again, the wind has pulled so many different flowers off. Actually, looking at it from this way is better. Oh, it's so pretty. We're probably going to fast forward 2 weeks until we're going to film the larger tour. I just wanted to show you what those things were looking like right now in the moment that they're looking beautiful. Another thing I forgot as I was picking up zinnias I'm about to plant in the video you previously saw. Our dogwood is looking so awesome. Look at this. Now, I'm going to have to look up the name of this dogwood. I know there's a tag on it still. It's just I can't read it. Look how huge these flowers are. They're probably easily 4 inches in diameter. Now, when they first started blooming, we were convinced that we had the wrong one. It had been mislabeled. Let's see. It's a Venus dogwood. When this first started flowering, we were convinced it was the wrong one because it came out as green and were so small, and we were so disappointed. But we gave it, obviously we didn't pull it because we weren't going to do that. We were going to go back to the people and be like, is this the right thing? And then lo and behold, a week and a half, 2 weeks later, this is what it looks like. And it's looked like this for probably 10, 11 days. I think it's going to probably, supposed to get hot this next week. I think it's going to fizzle. But I cannot wait until this fills the entire space with this blanket of blossoms. Now that was about 2 weeks ago. It has been very rainy since then. We've probably got like 6 or so inches of rain. And I actually have some things that you'll be seeing in the next little bit. Already filmed at the home garden. But I thought I would break in. I'm filming this Friday. You guys are seeing this Saturday. And I thought I'd break in and kind of bring you the end of June as it is right now. Last year we had a very warm June, unseasonably. This year hasn't been as unseasonably warm, but things are earlier than they have been in the past. For instance, where we are is a pretty big agricultural area, and all our cherries, which normally aren't in season till like the 4th of July, started about a week or so ago. It's about 2 weeks ahead of where it normally is. And I think that can also be said of our garden. But as you can see behind me, that means we have some astilbes. Let's go take a closer look. Now you will notice that this is looking a little sad, and that's because this is where my horse troughs, which I used to grow vegetables on my driveway in the city garden before I moved. This is where they lived until I was ready for them. I actually don't know where they're going in my home garden. You'll see them where they ended up for the next year or so in a video coming up soon when we added another bed. But for now, let's look at how beautiful this is looking. Now the astilbes are just starting, and as I kind of said, we've had a lot of rain. Gray day today. I've been trying to come out 2 or 3 times to film this, and the weather just has not cooperated. It's like thick misting right now, and I ran out hoping this would be my chance because I got to get this filmed and edited so you can see it tomorrow. Garden tours take a little while to edit, so this was ambitious of me to do anyway. But I wanted to try and sneak it in so you could see the garden as it is right now. And the thick mist we will take to see these beautiful astilbes, but it's meant that they've kind of flopped a little bit. Excuse the still small pile of things we're still going to find a home for, but this is the deer resistant bed that we actually started 3 years ago. It was one of my very first videos. And I think I did a couple videos and I stopped and then restarted again. But we've kind of followed this bed's journey. It's one that we built when my parents moved up here. And I am so pleased with how abundant it is looking. There's a little bit of maintenance. Like we got to come through and take the spent bloom stalks off this Brunnera. This bleeding heart is massive. I'm actually going to attempt to divide it. I think I can divide it into like 4. I'm going to take some with me to the home garden. We'll leave one here, but then that'll let like things like this hellebore and there's another astilbe in here too. It's a little bit smothered. Here it'll give it some room to breathe, but look how beautiful it is looking. It's the week before the 4th of July, so I'll probably do some videos where we'll be able to get to see these kind of come and really blossom and look good. You can see the ligularia is just starting. We have 3 of them, 1, 2, 3 that are just beginning to look good, and I am so pleased. I think once we get this cut back, that silvery pop will be beautiful there, and we'll be able to kind of appreciate other things here. We got more here as well that needs to be cut back. Oh, look, there's some baby bleeding hearts here as well. That's exciting. Astilbe is one of my favorite shade plants. We have some more, speaking of astilbe, over here that are a little bit further along. We spent some time recently in this bed planting some things, but this is a mighty chocolate cherry astilbe. This has been weighed down a little bit, but look at it. Look how beautiful and fluffy it looks in this pretty combination. We just planted this. I'm a little bummed to see that it's already going to seed, but we're going to let the seed ripen so we can spread it around. And I love how beautiful it looks with all of these nepeta. These are Walker's Low nepeta. Oh, there is some more deer action here. This is hugely disappointing. I wonder if my dad sprayed. I'm going to have to see when the last time we sprayed was, because we're trying to kind of protect some things. But the deer, voracious. If you're new to my channel, you'll be able to see momentarily when we get into the back. A lot of our beds are actually fenced. That back there is a national forest, and we are between the national forest and a water source, which means that the deer pressure is quite abundant here, which is a bit of a bummer, but we are trying to introduce things in a couple areas where we don't want to do fences that are deer resistant. If you are looking for deer resistant plants, what that really means is they're less likely to eat it, or they're likely to eat it last. Unless it is toxic, and even then they might take a nibble. I've seen them nibble some foxglove every once in a while. Deer just eat everything. They're really awful. And we do spray for them, but my parents had been out of town, actually at my house, probably when that happened is my guess. And doing some things that you will see shortly. So we make our way around. You can see that some of the cute little violas have bounced. And this bed in particular is looking very abundant. This is one of my favorite combinations. This is a painted Japanese fern with toad lilies. And it always just looks so full. We planted it here to kind of mask our mini split. And we did just get some sedge planted too that I think will do well. But this has been a bit of a disappointment. I think someone asked about if our climbing hydrangea had any flowers this year. No, it doesn't. It gets about 4-ish hours of sun, maybe 3. But we were kind of expecting it to have done more than it currently is. But I am making my way to the backyard to show you some beautiful hydrangeas that are looking good. You probably were able to see them budded up in that mini little, like 2 weeks ago. That was mid-June tour I did. And actually how that looked 2 weeks ago is typically what the garden looks like right now, which is what I was hoping for when I was thinking about this tour. But that doesn't mean there's still not moments of beauty. I'm going to go look at this closer, but look at these. These are a broadleaf hydrangea that are just opening up. There's some ditch lilies, also known as tiger lilies. that orange that we are actually going to be tearing out. But it's pretty to get to see them right now, combined with some of the sedum blooming. You can see also there's some really pretty red yarrow going. And this is actually an area that we do need to do some cutting back. But there is something charming in how full it is. You can also see this heliopsis we moved from the city garden a couple years ago is also looking good. There's two things I really wanted to come and point out specifically. The first of which is that our rolled doll rose that we got bare root this year is blooming and just looks so charming. Look at this. I love how soft and beautiful this one is. This is a David Austin rose. You can see that the Ambassador allium have bloomed out. And actually, this I showed you last week that was just like an abundance of blooms. Has a couple things that are coming and a couple that are probably still looking good. Yeah, look how pretty that is. This is a poet's wife, and there's obviously going to be a lot more blooms going, but this was absolutely covered. The mini mauve is budded up. It'll do well. But one of the other things I wanted to point out is this hydrangea. This is a Nico blue hydrangea. It's one of those hydrangeas that, oh, something is eating this. I wonder if we had a little bunny. We don't usually deal with bunnies, but we planted this not that long ago, and it has had a large number of leaves taken off. That's a bummer. But this is, as I was saying, a Nico blue hydrangea. Now, this is one of those hydrangeas that does change colors with pH, and you can tell that this is a little, this right here, this means that it is iron deficient. And I think that the soil, the fill soil we used here must have had a bit of a lower pH. Usually Michigan is pretty acidic, but you'll also be able to see every once in a while there's a vein that is obviously more acidic because we got the blue, then we got the pink. Either way, it has got more buds than ever, and I am going to be treating it soon with some chelated iron, which is like a water-soluble one, as well as some iron tone, which is a slow release. I think that will pop eventually. It's beginning to rain again. I can hear it on the plastic we have down, trying to mitigate some petunia. But I wanted to just make this like a quick tour to show you the things that are looking really good. So I'm not going to go explore every bed like I have done in other tours. I'll link, I think I've already said this before, but I'll link the early June garden tour below, which kind of gives a much better overview of the garden at the very beginning of June. So when things were looking really great, they're still looking great, but it was more of the, let's see, what was blooming then? Our lilacs were in full bloom. Some of our peonies had just started. I missed the peonies this year. I love peonies. Peonies are one of my favorite spring flowers, but I feel like their blooms are so short. They're worth having in your yard. That's unquestionable. But I wish they held on just a little bit longer. But so in this tour, I'm going to pretty much focus. Let's see. No, I think it's back to thick misting, so we'll go out there. Focus on the things that are looking good rather than a whole overview. Look at these beautiful astilbes and make our way. Check out this oak leaf hydrangea. Oh, last year we missed this so much. We had a deer get in here last year and it ate all of the blooms, all of them, which is such a bummer, but look at how majestic this looks. They're pretty big and they'll get even bigger. I also like seeing this amber jubilee 9-bark mixed with the blooms. I'm so happy to see these. I have 2 in the ground, and I actually have 3 I need to find a home for, and some babies of this variety that I also need to find a home for. I just thought quickly I would hop up and show you that the Tarantula that we moved from my house, which is this purple one, definitely took. It's a little floppy. I think an animal must have come and sat there if I had to guess. But seeing these blue and white together is what we were hoping for with this. I also wanted to pop up and show something exciting in this area. We're back at the front of the cottage garden and you can see our incredible hydrangeas. I don't know what happened that they're pushed back so much. Maybe the weight of the canopy is just doing that. That's odd, but that's not the exciting thing. Check out this acanthus. Huge. Look at that. Like, I think this is probably 2 feet long. Anyway, this is a zone 6 plant. I bought it at a garden center. So when I still lived in the city garden and I didn't realize the garden center I was in a zone 6. That was a zone 5. I bought it and thought, you know what, I'm just going to plant it, see how it lives. It never thrived there. It never bloomed. So I moved it up to the cottage, which is a zone 6. It's been here 3, 4 years, maybe even 5. And this is the very first time it is blooming. Ever. To be honest, I'd kind of given up on it blooming. I just thought, okay, well, we'll appreciate for the unusual foliage, but I cannot wait to see these. These aren't their actual blooms. They're supposed to get a little taller, and it's like a white and a dark purple. I'll be watching for them, and you can bet that I will show it to you. You can also see going through, this is growing oddly, but we do have some buds forming that will look pretty, and we've got some pretty astilbe there. And maybe at the end of the video, I'll come back and show you the pots. Because we planted those 2 weeks ago, and even though it's only been a short period of time, they too are looking really great. They've bulked up a bit, which is nice to see. And I just am loving the color combination we added. Oh, I think we saw this clematis in a last garden tour, but it's still going strong, and this one has a will to live. This is the plastic that's trying to smother out our houtunia, which is a little bit in this path, which desperately needs to be flame weeded. I have been really fortunate that my dad has been helping me a ton this year. If you don't know, I actually moved last September. So I had lived in an urban setting. I divided all the plants that I could when I moved. I'm just going to link a video there where I talked about it, because if you are moving and trying to figure out what you can take, there are things you need to consider, and talk to your real estate agent about what you can do and what needs to be included in the sale of your house. I'm just going to add that caveat right now, because I'm not an expert, but I do know that you need to have some things outlined in a contract of sale. Anyway, so I did that last September, October. Didn't really do anything in this new yard, and this spring season has been really a whirlwind of activity in that home garden. So I actually have a playlist dedicated to the home garden, which I will link below too, in case you want to catch up, since that really documents all that's been done to date in that garden, because I've been vlogging the whole time I've been there. But that means the cottage, I keep calling this the cottage garden. This is our family cottage. Probably about 3-ish years ago, my parents actually moved up here and retired. And because my dad has been helping me in my yard, and it's been a whirlwind of a spring for other reasons too, some of the things aren't quite as maintained as they usually are. They're still looking plentiful and beautiful. Here's looking at these closer. These also are a type that will respond to the pH of the soil. And you can see that there's like some more purpley ones, there's some more pinky ones, but this is also super abundant and looking beautiful. I did want to point out all of our beautiful dahlias, how they are doing. We planted these first, and there's a lot of myrtle in here that we decided to leave in here even when we move some other stuff around. But I can see there's a couple weeds that I'm going to pop in. The wind is picking up a little bit, so I will try to clean up the audio. I apologize if it's not the best, but the reason this is called Windsome Cottage is because the wind is almost always blowing. But we planted these dahlias. The tubers had just started. There's not a lot showing. We've got a couple of dahlia blooms, which is thrilling. But I wanted to just kind of briefly show you the progression that even like 3 weeks can make. We've got 3 rows. So like this is a row of dahlias. That's a row of dahlias. And there's another one. There's some coreopsis there that I think we might rejig a little bit, but I'm really pleased to see 2 of them. One of them I thought had died out, and I was wrong. And our coneflowers are just starting. This is a bed that we have iris in, and when the iris is done, the coneflowers take over, which is fun because it kind of hides some of the sad greenery. And look at this. I always love some of the first coneflower blooms because they're massive. Now some of these are showing some earwig damage. They're even kind of fun before they bloom. Like, look at this. There's something kind of interesting about that. That is one bed where we planted a bunch of dahlias. We've got another bunch of dahlias in here as well, alongside some hibiscus. This is one of the fences that is actually gated, so I can't get close, but look. Let me zoom in. Look how beautiful that is. I think that is a collarette called Bumble Rumble or something like that. I'm going to have to double check. Now, if you followed our Dahlia journey, you know that we didn't do the best job documenting names, but I have a list of everything we've purchased. So we're going to go through and see what we can identify. And you can see, if I zoom back out, look how pretty it looks with this purple masquerade penstemon. It's just such a pretty little pop. Got 3 of the penstemon. There's one here, one there. Another pretty view with some iris foliage. And this one of these, this one, there's a little baby that it put out, which I'm excited about. And I think this is a bleeding heart. That's exciting. The other dahlias in here are doing well. We have one here, I'm pretty sure this is called Patches. If I'm right, then this is going to be a dinner plate variety. I'm not sure it's in the best place. But there's other things looking pretty, including, look at this. We planted this from the city garden. I'm actually just pointing out how pretty it looked in the home garden. This is a Japanese iris. We have 3 big things here, and these are a little shorter, I think because they were transplanted in the last year, but typically they'll be more like 30 to 40 inches tall. So it'll fill this out nicely. But I'm making my way over here to show you this guy. Look how beautiful that is. I think this is one of our new ones. And I love, you can see the underside is like more red. It's just really, really interesting. We really decked this bed out with dahlias, and we planted those 3 weeks ago. The time is blending a little together, but I'm so happy to see that they've got buds. I'm also happy to see that these have been coming up. We were looking at that bed closely. I'm now in what we call the lilac tree bed, and you can see we have a little quickfire hydrangea that, again, last year the deer ate it, so I'm really happy to see it budding out. That will be looking great in the July garden tour. And look at this, guys. All of these sticks were where we planted tubers that had no growth. And I think most of them now have growth. We've got, I'm not seeing any buds, but like I think this one, I'm looking closely and I think that is a little growth. And we kind of keep going. I think there's only one, like I said, which is right there that I'm not seeing anything, but I'm thinking it's a case of not yet seeing anything. Speaking of not yet, look at this. This is Lucifer's tongue, crocosema. I never know how to say it. If you could tell me how to say it, please tell me. It's got all its buds. That's going to be bright red in just a couple weeks. Ooh, that was a bird that was very close to me. And then we have all the zinnias we planted. We have some ornamental allium that's going to be looking good. Everything is just filling out. One thing I am actually really interested to see, and I haven't been out here yet, if we had any growth in here. We got a little growth. I'm down at our vegetable garden and I'm debating if I want to open it up or not. I see some sweet peas. This is what I wanted to see. I see there's a dahlia there. Don't see any. I might see something there, like around the corner. Stuff, no stuff. Very small stuff, no stuff. Let's see. Oh, my dad put the water thing on a dahlia. That's a bummer. But again, dahlia, no dahlia, dahlia. Yeah, so I think they're all coming. And I definitely have some snapdragons over here. Oh, look at that. We'll go look at the holding area in a second. But these snapdragons, I think I planted 3 years ago. And they've just held their own. I actually brought some more to stick in here and see if we can keep them going. So I should add really quickly, this was not raised around this tree. You never want to raise soil around a tree. We had an incident where, long story short, the seawall had to be put in because we were having a lot of erosion. And so this was put around to stabilize around the root ball, rather than built up against the root ball. Never, you can see that the root flare is here. You never want to build stuff up against the base of a tree because it can rot it out at the base. There's actually some weird black stuff I'm gonna have to have my dad look at. I hadn't noticed that before. But before I go look at these Annabelle, you can kind of see that even though there's not quite as much in color in the last as there was in the last tour, there's spots of color. And I think you can see with the pockets of dahlias we have there and there that there is going to be quite a show in just a little while. I was headed over here. This is a bed I've talked about. If you're an old follower of the channel, you probably are tired of me talking about this bed. We call it the bamboo bed because there's some bamboo in it. It's a bed that needs some major TLC. It's on the docket for us to do probably this fall, where we've put some plants that are in our holding area. And these Annabelle actually came from the city garden. And even though this one's just healed in, that one's in a pot. I think they like this spot, this is where they're going to end up once we do get them going. And look at them. I love hydrangea. Hydrangeas are kind of like the epitome of summer. We have some blackberries in here that have unfortunately probably grown out of their can. We have a peony tree. We got to figure out where it's going. We were thinking about sticking it up where the bamboo is. And our plan, the bamboo, I apologize if this was repetitive to some of our followers who have been with us a while, but this is a bamboo that my siblings gave my dad for his birthday or Father's Day, probably about, honestly, like 18 years ago. And it's moved from house to house. It is never done in any of the gardens it's ever been in. It's never grown like it has here. It absolutely loves its spot. And it's beginning to push our rock wall down. I don't know if you can even really see it, but it's pushing it out. I think my dad, oh good. For a second I thought there was a snake there. I'm just not going to get close. I don't think it's a snake, but I don't like snakes. It's pushing the rock wall out. So what we're actually going to do is pull the rest of the rock wall out in a manner that we can get it back. And then we're going to go after this, probably with a chainsaw. My dad kind of still wants to keep a piece, but if we do, it's going to go here with some bamboo guard and be left to all the elements. It's getting kind of dark. I'm in another situation where I'm walking up the hill thinking, is it going to start raining any second? But leaving it to the natural elements, whether it be deer or weather, that will probably size control it a little bit better. And with the bamboo guard, we would keep it pretty small. Oh, this is pretty. We're looking at the other side of the hydrangea, which again, I think we'll be looking magnificent in the July garden tour. But I just noticed that our red hot pokers are going. We have some things we're letting go to seeds. We have some true blue lupins in here that actually have a ton of babies over there. There's some columbine. One of my favorite things about gardens is when you have a garden that you can turn a corner and see a different view and vista. It kind of just makes everything pop and look cool. I've made it to the deck. I thought I would show you the view from up here. And actually, I didn't do it as I was huffing and puffing up the hill. But we have a really pretty honeysuckle that is just going out. I don't think I got a video of it. I'm not sure. But it's usually a really pretty show. It's a little scentless. It was supposed to have scent and it doesn't. But it's still beautiful. You can see all the different layers from up here. Look at this. It's looking good. I promised to show the pots out front. We will end with those. Let's go take a peek. Here are our pots. Look at how, okay, ignore the plants that come with me. But actually, look at this cute little bleeding heart, which is more of a shade bleeding heart. But look how these have started filling out. So cute. There's the garden dog coming to figure out where I am and why she's not with me. She's okay when I can kind of keep an eye on her. But when I was talking to you guys, I didn't want her to come out with me. So she's kind of mad and salty that she didn't get to come out. So I'll have to go in and give her a treat. Probably a carrot, which is some of their favorites. Anyway, I know it wasn't quite the June garden tour that I'd been envisioning. I know I said this earlier, but usually at the end of June, we've got the first flush of roses and there's usually a couple lilacs still going, and that all happened so much earlier this year. Now that means that other things are happening earlier, which is exciting, and it means that some of our plants like the dahlias to have a couple dahlias blooming at the end of June is like crazy. Now we did like get these pre-started, meaning we put them in soil probably about 3 to 4 weeks before our last frost date, and we got them out early this year because very, very mild spring here. So all of that means early dahlias, and I think that means we're going to have such a long growing season for those dahlias. I cannot wait to see what they look like in August. I'm not really sure what you're going to be seeing this week. I have a couple videos in the hopper from the home garden, including the project we did last week. I don't know if you'll be seeing that next or some of the stuff that we're going to be working on this weekend at the cottage. I'm not sure. Just have to play it by ear and check back. If you liked this video, please hit that thumbs up button and subscribe. I really appreciate you joining me today. Make sure you follow along to see this garden's journey this season and in the future in our home garden as it kind of continues to build. I feel like it's still in the like exciting time of summer where I'm not burnt out yet. Sometimes in August I'm like, let it go, who cares anymore? But I'm still really motivated. I hope my motivation stays and things keep looking nice. And I hope that you will stay and keep checking in with us as well. I really appreciate you joining me today, and I can't wait to see you next time. Bye-bye.